In a previous episode, I had a look at some radionic devices. One of these devices used a piece of orgonite as an amplifier. I somewhat foolishly promised you that I would take a look at this mysterious lump called orgonite. So let's do that. Let's take a real good look.
They've been used for helping stimulate plant growth and cell regeneration in the physical body, and they've also been known to help with DNA repair in the body. So for people who want to get right down to the DNA level when they're doing healing work, orgonite has been used for that.
With the cell phone technology that we have today, there are over a half dozen companies beaming microwave radiation at you at any given moment, no matter where you are. Basically, your DNA is being sauteed, and orgone is basically garlic to a vampire.
Let's start with a brief history lesson. In the late 1930s, a psychoanalyst named Wilhelm Reich claimed that he had found a new form of energy, a kind of omnipresent life force, if you will. He called it orgone energy, from the word orgasm. This energy was supposedly responsible for cancer, the color of the sky, and the orgasm, among many, many other things. The dude went nuts and started building orgone accumulators and other orgone-based devices. Wilhelm later got in trouble with the FDA. There was a good old-fashioned book burning of his material, and he later died in prison. Wilhelm was not a very popular guy. As you might expect, orgone energy is not a thing. It has already been dealt with, so I'm not going to spend much time on it, but if you have any doubts, let's take a look at two of the claims. The sky appears blue because the air is full of molecules. Light with short wavelengths towards the violet and blue end of the visible spectrum is much more likely to hit these molecules and get scattered across the atmosphere than light with longer wavelengths towards the other, more red part of the visible spectrum. Combine this with our eyes' poor ability to see violet light, and you got a blue sky. 100% orgone free. Orgone energy is supposed to be omnipresent, like a fart in a shower cabinet. So why do we see such an overwhelming correlation between certain kinds of cancer and certain kinds of environmental factors? Lung cancer with smoking and ultraviolet radiation with skin cancer, if everyone gets equal exposure to the actual cause. Granted, we didn't know as much about cancer in the 1930s as we do today, but I can imagine this being quite an exotic claim even for the time. Orgone? More like orgone. So, let's make some orgonite. I've got a plastic cup that I'm gonna use as the mold. Now, it's not pyramid shaped, but I've seen them use a ton of different shapes, so I don't see why this shouldn't work. We got some crystals, some smaller crystals, some aluminum shavings, some copper wire, some stones, resin, and beer. Remember, kids, I'm a trained professional. Don't drink a new age. Well, this is dumb. And there we have it. It's a lump of resin with a crystal and metal shavings inside of it. That's all it is. But what does it do? Well, a little bit of everything, it would seem. According to orgonite.info, it can turn negative energy into positive energy. I don't think that you know what energy is. I am by no means an expert in quantum physics. I wouldn't even go as far as to say that I have a layman's understanding of it. But you don't turn negative energy into positive energy with a lump of resin. This claim is simply outrageous, since negative energy is a theoretical concept. You won't turn this frown upside down. Purify the atmosphere, detoxify water, and end drought. I can't really test this, but I did find a dude who demonstrated it for us.
You even see when I do that how there's a difference, right? Look. Because it's sending sacred oceans of purification into the atmosphere of the earth. Look, now it's clearing up skies. I hope that, this is proof enough, evidence enough that these devices work.
Maybe, just maybe, you should make sure that your evidence is not just the automatic shutter speed and white balance in your camera before you post it on the internet. Oh, it's a rookie mistake. It used to happen to me all the time too. That's why I only shoot in manual now. Make plants require less water. Not this one. Mitigates harmful effect from EMF radiation. Now this we can test. I've seen plenty of videos of people using orgonite to protect themselves from radiation from cell phone towers, Wi-Fi and similar. All of these use radio waves, so let's run a program on an old netbook that measures the Wi-Fi signal strength and quality, and then put a piece of orgonite on the router, and then measure it again with a banana on the router, and then once more with nothing on the router. Disarm and repel predatory forms of life. I do have a few predators we can test this on. Makes you happier. No, it doesn't. It pisses me off and I don't like it. Remedy insomnia and nightmares. Now this is purely anecdotal, but I did sleep with this in my apartment ever since I made it. And no, I still couldn't sleep and I still had nightmares.
Build the device, Oscar. Build the device!
Awaken your innate psychic senses. The predator appears to be unaffected. Before we take a quick break to look at some banana dowsers, I have a message for the radionics community. Sending a dislike bot to my radionics video, and I know it's a bot, since pretty much all of the dislikes came from countries with a combined view count of 49 since 2009, is not valid criticism. It's naughty, and I should tell your mothers. You are, however, most welcome to join me for a chat where you can defend radionics here on my channel. Cheers! Here we have David Gilder, who appears to be high as balls, while Grasa doing some dowsing while giving me a shout out. Hey, thanks man. The Illiterate Atheist, straight from the works of H.P. Lovecraft. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling made and sent these amazing bananas and these cute ghosts. It's just awesome. And finally, we have Smells Like E Minor doing what David did. Smelly did the voice for the dream sequence and also the skeptic videos here on YouTube, talking about crystal skulls, healing and that sort of thing. What I have seen is definitely subscribable, link in the description. So why do I feel extra silly playing around with orgonite? Well, according to orgonite.info, it was invented in the year 2000, about 60 years after orgone energy was both conceived and dismissed. Let's just read the whole paragraph. In 2000, a couple named Don and Carol Croft discovered through some internet research and empirical observation that mixing catalyzed organic fiberglass resin with inorganic metal shavings poured into small molds such as paper cups and muffin pans would produce a substance which would attract etheric energy similarly to righteous accumulators. Some internet research and empirical observations, just some, were claiming that a crystal, some metal leftovers in a lump of resin will purify the atmosphere, but some internet research felt like enough. Okay, it's time to give a fuck. Frequently unasked questions. How is a lump of resin doing all of this? How can it detoxify water and affect radiation? And how exactly does it make a plant require less water? How do you know this? Give us your method of testing so that others can verify your conclusions. Why would you build off of an already debunked idea when you could just make a new, equally silly idea? Just let dead ideas stay dead. It's like making a creationist museum. Oh yeah. The test said no. There was no difference in signal strength or quality. And if we compared the numbers straight and leave no room for any kind of standard deviation, the banana actually outperformed the orgonite. So yeah, suck on that. The only way that this can have any kind of effect on your health is if someone beat you with it, because it is quite heavy. But other than that, it's just a lump of resin. So it's rather distressing when I come across people who use it as a kind of alternative treatment, like the buyers of this huge orgonite pyramid are doing with their brain-damaged child.
The stones in here, very powerful stones. I'll have to put a listing in the comments section of what the names of the stones are, because I don't have them memorized offhand, unfortunately. But these stones, they're powerful protection stones, and also it has to do with brain power. Their baby was born with problems, some potential brain problems, and they wanted a pyramid that would be for that.
Before you buy into this quackery, do some reading, do some thinking, and ask some questions. Because I promise you that the collective pool of knowledge among the practitioners of this foolishness is so shallow that it will break your neck if you dive in. The waters may be murky, but that doesn't mean that you're deep. It is completely okay to be skeptical of big corporations and big pharma. But when you start trusting big stupid instead, you're in trouble. So just do some quick research about how to actually protect yourself from the things that you're afraid of, as well as what they actually are. Chances are you won't even fear them anymore. Seriously, how the fuck do you expect this to end drought? And if it did, why aren't these people deploying them in troubled areas? Oh, silly me. That would require actually putting them to the test. And dry soil is not a gullible loon with a wallet. There's no dishonest money in dry soil. So, if you are one of the people who use fear-mongering and crazy conspiracies to sell useless, tacky home decoration with non-existent magical powers, well, for you I have 2 words and a finger. Fuck you.